Hey people, Paul Wilson Lindner Jr. here, aka Positive Paul. Saturday, August 17th, 2024. I'm going to go over for one last time to get it out of my system concerning the stalking and harassment that I received down here in Mexico. Now, as I've explained now in its ninth year, my problem isn't with the Mexicans. They've been roped into this, and it's unfortunate that I've found almost all of them. You can tell them just about anything, and I guess they won't question it, and they'll only do what they're told. There are a small handful of people that do not want to be involved in stalking and harassment, but again, there's no point of reference for these individuals because, for one, this isn't about them. Now, the hidden hand behind all this, to generically put it, these are Satanists, all right? This problem stems from Europe and England and has been able to creep into the fabric of American society, keeping things in a post-World War II perspective. And when we look at this picture right here, these are the Operation Paperclip scientists. I guess a small group of them, not all of them, down in San Antonio, Texas. Right here is Werner von Braun. But a lot of the problems that if someone in my situation woke up to the nightmare of being stalked and harassed by these creeps, you'll either do one or two things. They want to drive you crazy to commit suicide, which is their goal, because the last thing they want is you to be alive, testifying, witnessing against them. They can't have that. And they have a damage control program that's a time-tested method to eliminate any resistance. Now, why in the world I'm still able to continue is the only thing I can pin this to is that the Almighty Creator of heaven and earth, the Holy One of Israel, has me under his wings. I connect all this to Israel. I connect this to Jacob. The blood of Jacob is at the center of all this. And to try to explain things, put things into context, to wrap your mind around everything is impossible in the modern era, because what has happened is, cleverly, thousands of years ago, these more nefarious batch of humans, and there's a lot of ways to describe them, they were right in everybody's face. Their behavioral patterns, their ways of living, and it came down to where this cesspool that we live in, that we're all born into, this corrupt body, this body of death, that the Almighty Creator of it all had said he is going to take one last chance on redeeming a group of people that were worthy, and they became known as the Israelites. But there's something about the spiritual realm that is so powerful that the hocus pocus, the magic of it all is able to seduce, to be able to tempt even the best of any human that even has been taught properly by parents, loving, caring parents that don't worship idols. They're not caught up in religion. They're not caught up in the way of the world. And they pass the knowledge down to their children because they want them to be able to lead happy, peaceful lives. Now, the impression one would get nowadays is that, hey, I don't know nothing about this. These Satanists have nothing to do with me. I mind my business. I go to work. I pay my taxes. This is the average American. I go to church. I believe in God. I don't know nothing about these Satanists. And the problem is is, while that may be true, the reason why it is because they are of no consequence. Now, the explanation given about MK Ultra has been insufficient. The Church Commission, anything thrown at us concerning a blue ribbon panel, concerning the U.S. government trying to explain this away, is a damage control program. But the real victims, prior to, I will say, 1972, if you were involved in this, you were set aside, isolated, put on a list, and to be dealt with at the proper time if you survived. Now, in my case, how did I find myself in this situation? Well, I will explain this one more time, and this is how it works. Okay. I had, and still do have, I don't know who they are or where they are, high-ranking Satanists within my family. My family immigrated from Bavaria, Germany in 1868. The Satanists were wrecking Europe at that time. If we know our history, we know about the Austro-Prussian, Hungarian wars, everything that was going on, and understanding about the Catholic religion, understanding about the Jesuits, then one can clearly, after diligent research, start to piece this together. Now, once my family and other families arrived into the United States from Germany, they would have been dealt with at the proper time, like I said. Now, in my case, this gentleman, to be nice, is Carl Henry Lindner. They want to say he's Junior. I say he's Carl Henry Lindner. There was no Junior. He's pictured here with Richard Nixon, the President of the United States. And this is how I found myself a front seat concerning MK Ultra and Satanic Ritual Abuse. Now, my family wants to say that this guy has nothing to do with me or anybody concerning my immediate family. Well, I beg to differ. I can't prove that, but I don't need to. I have enough evidence by sheer preponderance that this is the case. Now, it's been well reported on concerning his activities and who he hangs out with, meaning his pals, George Bush, Billy Graham, Henry Kissinger, a long list of these individuals that have, over a period of decades, their activities that have been reported on by the men and women that stood up against them, and a lot of them were eliminated. They are part of an extensive group that emanates from Europe and England, but in a post-World War II perspective, they have been able to worm their way in and take over everything involved concerning on the way American society functions. Its institutions, starting at the top, government, and then working its way down, legal, judicial, medical, and it has now filtered into blue collar, where the authoritative structure is under the satanic power structure and within the satanic sphere of influence. Now, these things don't happen overnight. Some of these individuals are just born that way, but the problem is Jacob. Jacob is the resistance, has always been the resistance. And the one thing that these Satanists are deathly afraid of is the Almighty Creator's only begotten Son, Yeshua, HaMashiach, my Messiah, my Christ, my Savior, Jesus. Now, they've come up with elaborate conspiracy theories to somehow hide the truth of their activities. Now, their main activities that they engage in are: one, human trafficking and the abuse of children, namely Jacob, the blood of Jacob. The blood is what it's all about, but now the blood of Jacob has dried up. And imagine Satan being served fine wine, cheese, and caviar through the blood of Jacob. And he has been able to pass down the secrets of the so-called mystery schools, this technology that emanates from the spiritual realm. But actually, it comes from Earth itself. Earth is a living organism, and the secrets of Earth and its resources has been a highly, tightly held secret, specifically in the modern era, to prevent the truth of a human being figuring it out and having a personal connection with the Creator in every pure sense of the form. Now, the fall of man has created this situation and has brought this perverseness, the imagination of men being wicked. It has brought in the violence, has brought in this unquenchable desire to, one, be worshipped, but have control over others. But the only way to accomplish this is to get to a child right from the get-go. And what's been explained about the Illuminati, these bloodlines, how they deal with their children, with the abuse, trying to mind control them, this became what would be known as modern mind control, MK Ultra. But the way they explain it, on why, because they want you to think, well, look, there's these other countries that are doing the same thing, and we cannot let countries like Russia be able to have an edge over the ability to brainwash an individual and get them to believe something that, one, will lead to their death, but more importantly, the essence of what their life was, their soul, their spirit. They want to rob you of that and take you away from that connection from the Creator. So we don't know how many victims, keeping things in a post-World War II perspective. The suffering of mankind has been going on for thousands of years. Excuse me. And it's come down to that moment where, specifically in the United States, Europe, England, and Canada, they have the blood of Jacob on their hands, and they're trying to cover it up. Now, how they do this is through intimidation. How they do this is through outright murder, if they can. But this is the thing that I want to explain before I present this. The 144,000. There are human beings on planet Earth right now that cannot be killed. They will survive the tribulation. They will survive the lies and slander. They will survive being homeless, hungry. And these Satanists, all they can do is harass them, stalk them, lie about them, defame them, blacklist them. That's all they got. So the way it works is concerning me. I pinpoint 2011, the year that something had to be done concerning mitigating me, because I have these implants in me. If you're a satanic ritual abuse survivor, bare minimum, you have implants in your teeth or somewhere in your body to keep track of you. With the stalking and harassment, doesn't matter where I go in the world. None of this can happen concerning me without these implants. The groups that they get involved, for one, are not smart enough. It would take hundreds and thousands of people at any given moment to try to keep track of me. Now, due to compartmentalization, all right, the people that fund this, that are in charge of this, that control this, you can never get near them. They are 3, 4, 5, who knows how many layers removed from the individuals that do the stalking and harassment and play games. Now, because in a post-World War II perspective, they've taken over all these institutions, they have their people in positions of authority that can initiate, can get these things going, such as investigations or anything like that. Now in America, we know in a post 9/11 world that they have the Patriot Act, these fusion centers. They're supposed to keep an eye on these would-be terrorists. But you live in a country now where their main focus, they're foaming at the mouth. They live and die by racism. And it's all about white people and how bad they are and how badly they've treated others. That is their main focus. But what they have to cover up is their abuse of children, these victims. Now, how do they do this? Prior to 1972, when MKUltra went underground, it was exposed, but not by an American, by Canadians apparently, trying to take the CIA to task, which is the central focus of this. Now, these two individuals were knee-deep within the CIA, all right? Now, that's one arm of this whole spider web within the satanic sphere of influence. Now, with me, again, I have these implants. I sought medical help. I didn't know what was going on, and they saw me coming. So I went to the Veterans Hospital in San Diego. I'm a former honorably discharged Marine. And I didn't understand about the implants when I first went back there in 2012. But again, they saw me coming, and they did what they were had to do, forced to do, told to do. When a good doctor got in front of me, they removed him. They suddenly disappeared. I've been through at least half a dozen doctors. And what happened is they send these fixers in. What they do is they doctor up progress notes. They tried to legally somehow find a way to discredit the individual who's waking up to the nightmare of being abused as a child, meaning raped, tortured, experimented on by these Machiavellian monsters, these intellectual barbarians. These sad sack American, Nazi, British, European, Edomite, Satanist, Freemason, I mind you, all right? Because they have these organizations that put themselves out there, that claim the higher moral ground, that go around and can move around these pieces to keep track of all their victims. Now, how they do this now is with technology. We understand that. Now, one of the main things that one of the main tools that they have at their disposal is now called social media. Now, this in itself, yes, while it can serve a good purpose, it's not why it's being used. Social media is a completely controlled way of disseminating information, and the individuals that are allowed to use it and or promote it within these platforms, meaning YouTube, Facebook first, we'll start there. All right, the controllers, they decide who will get the be able to have their witness, their testimony, whatever it is, put out there in the public sphere, but have a large enough audience. Because the problem is, not everybody can be brainwashed. There's still good people, but to find them and be able to have them believe in an individual, to in their heart say, I want to help this person. I see something's not right. All right, they prevent that, the controllers of social media. So the only other way an individual can get out there is boots on the ground. Camp out in front of these organizations. The CIA, the FBI, the diffusion centers say, hey, look, I'm being defamed, I'm being lied, I got these implants in me, I got these psychotic Satanists that are using just normal people to be snitches, creating these community watch snitch networks. And they got no clue what they're doing. They do it for money, most of them. Maybe back in the day in the United States, you had a community watch where neighbors looked out for each other, and they didn't need to be bought off to do anything, right? They weren't peeking out their window. They would go out there and face the problem. So in my case, they saw me coming at the VA. They doctored progress notes. They get this corrupt doctor to say that, excuse me. See, I'm losing my voice now, trying to do this because it's upsetting. And I'm getting this out of my system one more time. These corrupt doctors at the VA put progress notes that I told them that, oh, I'm angry at my former employer and I'm gonna hurt somebody, and they're saying I'm suicidal. All this. It's all a bunch of BS and lies, these lazy lying lizards. And they got away with it because what they do is they report this to these creeps within Homeland Security, and they put the individual on a watch list. So America, it's a done deal in America. Now, because I got ran out of America, I've got my whole story. I can subpoena these people. My family was lied to. These people that were supposed to be my friends were lied to. And guess what? These Benedict Arnolds all abandoned me. They left me high and dry. And why would that be? How could this be that one person can garner this much attention? And that remember the VA, this all took place 10 years ago, mind you. In 2014 is when they were actually able to get these fixers in place, doctor up these progress notes, try to make me look crazy, because now that's what they say now. First, they tried to make me look like a criminal through an entrapment scheme, and they threw everything they could at me. Well, guess what? Now it's 10 years later, and all they can do is run around and slander me that, oh, I'm crazy, and that stay away from this guy. This is what they do in Mexico with these raggedy-ass Mexicans that have been hiding in their houses, and we're going to get to this. And it's not that they're bad people. They got no frame of reference for nothing, because this isn't about them. Somewhere else in the world, someone's going through this. They might be in Europe, they might be in South America, they might be in Canada, and of course they're in the United States. But why they're keeping their mouth shut? My friends telling me, oh, well, maybe because they have families and they don't want to end up like you, being on the verge of being homeless, always broke, this and that. No, it's because probably they're cowards, or there's no connection to God, or their brainwashing worked. It's one of the most well, horrifying things to learn that you're waffling out there essentially all alone. And what they do with social media, they surround you by social media frauds. So somehow, through the lies of these institutions within the United States government, they get the individual on a watch list. And so what happens is, because all right, I have these implants, whenever I go to the United States now, not only do they activate a rapid response perp squad army through this Freemason network of nitwits, all right? And remember, it's compartmentalized. The people I want to get to, they'll never face me. They're cowardly weasels. And they use these, I don't know what to say on how, not even questioning anything. It's amazing of how they can cobble together these community watch snitch networks, all right? And now they're well established in the United States that it's just creepy. The last time I've been up there a few times since, but back in November last year, I sold the last thing I had, my guitar, to get money for my son. And it was so creepy when I went into Pacific Beach and had walked into the pawn shop. It just, these snitches. And a lot of them, I faced them down. And they're walking around with their heads down. You should see. It's just disgusting. Now, I got ran out of the United States. Now, again, I could subpoena some of these Benedict Arnolds and make a big stink about it. But see, I already tried to fight them in court in an EEO concerning the harassment, the hostile work environment I was put in at my employer. And they ran me out of there, and then the whole system took my money. $90,000. And because, see, they were egregiously filing false disciplinarian actions. That's all they got, is their lies, slander. And it was so bad that I was able to prove a lot of this. But see, in order to say that the U.S. government is now full of individuals that will do whatever they're told, and not only that, the type of people that are in there, they know that their little job, their cushy jobs are on the line, and they don't want to be possibly facing the unemployment line. So you have a whole nation full of cowards for the most part. Not everyone, but the ones that aren't, they think that they're somehow getting out of this, that these Satanists have nothing to do with them. Well, they do, and it's called the tribulation, and it's coming soon, and I've been explaining this now for over 8 years. And since I've been ran out of the United States, they took everything I had, and now when I go back, I'm stalked by some of the lowest scum that they can dredge up while these Freemasons sit in their little cushy lodges and give orders and have their connections to the military-industrial satanic complex. And they use these retirees because, see, once you're in this little clique, it's like the mob. There's no getting out. And if you try to somehow all of a sudden wake up, Jesus smacks you in the back of the head, right? Like Schnoebelen, right? The Reformed Satanist, who I want to believe that this is possible. But why wasn't it impossible? Why was it possible not for them? They're sitting next to this. They're all pedos. They're sitting next to the one guy, right? That the mega church pastor that has millions of dollars that are in these mega churches claiming to be of God, claiming to spread the word of God, but we know the deal. We know how this works. Now, this is how this works. Now, again, these people that received the lies and slander, my so-called buddies that left me high and dry. All right, here's one of them, Jay Kennison. All right, He knows what the lies and slander were, but see, he didn't have the balls to tell me because, see, his handler, his mom, she knows all about what's going on. Now here, these people are supposed to be my parents. This picture was taken in Mexico on August 12th, 2011. August 12th, 2011. And my son had just been born back on March. And the only reason they're there is to get a handle on things. Because my old man, all right, sorry about that. My old man right here, he sold me out. He knows all about Uncle Carl, and they murdered his father, the Navy chaplain, gave him a heart attack before he went to work in D.C. that day. World War II veteran. So somehow my family's involved, but it's not just my family. Let's get this straight. The military-industrial satanic complex is one huge spider web. So here they are, supposed to be down there celebrating the birth of my son, and that caused a lot of problems for these creeps, these Satanists. Instead of smiling for the camera, they can't believe it that I'm still alive. So, these freaks, you people that think, oh, Trump, what I've been telling you for the past 8 years, he's a lackey for these Satanists. He ain't gonna save nothing. He can't save himself. And we gotta watch this for how many more years? At least another 3 years before it really starts to heat up. If we're lucky, sooner than better. But you watch, when these riots start by election time, right? And then all these migrants get activated, you wait and see. And I've been explaining this for 8 years now. This is no new news. So, these pedo creeps, what do they have to do with these Nazis? Huh? These reptilians, right, folks? Well, they're not real. Demons aren't real. It's just some cute story in a book. So here I am in Mexico because I got ran out of the United States. Before I left the United States, I was trying to sell my property. I'm surrounded by these little snitch, bitch-ass stalkers, bought and paid for, sent over to harass me, give me a hard time, and then in the beginning of June 2016, I said, to hell with this. I'm getting out of here. I'd been trying to explain to my son's mom. She couldn't understand because my parents were brainwashing her. They were giving us money to help out my newborn. Because, see, the reality is, folks, I never dreamed on getting on social media and squawking about my problems. I was trying to understand this and actually keep under the radar. But see, they were blacklisting me, preventing me from work. And then once they finally were able to take my ability to find work, because what was going on is I would get a job and then they would find a way to fire me, have some type of adverse reaction. So what was going on is now I'm in a property I can't afford, barely survived the financial crash, and the Americans don't even understand that was all set up to hopefully take out a large swath of America, and it worked. This is how they they take you out of the system, folks. Only the more diabolically criminal minded will survive this. They'll find ways. The good people, they'll find a way to take you out. And see, it's coming again. You just don't realize it. So now, yeah, this financial crash, all that. So I packed up my bags, but before I did, they did their best to try to burn down my place. The garage in the back, they almost burned down. And then this creep next door puts all this garbage from back to front on the edge of the property line, so it looks like I'm in a Sanford and Son situation. Garbage everywhere. And it's so creepy, man, when you see how these people act. Shouting at me on the street, weirdos. Oh, okay, well, yeah, they're just weird people. No. People are paid to do some of these activities. And so now, yeah, there's a whole story I could get into about San Diego, but it doesn't matter. Look, I survived something, and I'm here in Mexico now, and they got these people that are so beat down. They got them under their thumbs. It took them years, almost over a decade to get to this point. But this is the way it works. Okay. My son's mom is from here. I'm in Rosarito Beach, Mexico. Nothing to do with Rosarito Beach or Mexico. I keep explaining this. They're caught in the middle. Now, let me ask you, folks, if any of you out there have a brain and the ability to intellectually be able to listen to an argument, are there two sides to every story? Well, yes. And see, with these Satanists, there's only one side of the story. It's their side. So once they knew my son came along, once they got me out of the United States, they knew exactly where I was going. And before I arrived in the current neighborhood, I was in another part of Rosarito, and that's where they moved in these cartel freaks. All right, they moved these creeps in and around you, and their only job is to try to get you in trouble. And so, yeah, okay, a 48-year-old man, beat down, broke. I got roped into some apparently stolen car caper that, hey, I knew nothing about, had nothing to do with it as far as foreknowledge. Only thing I knew, I was taking a permit out on a car. I'm going to, drive with these guys into Mexico. They were telling me they got it on auction. I didn't know, didn't care. And yeah, okay, well, hey, you got me there. All right. I guess I'm allowed one mistake because that's the only mistake they could come up with. And granted, they would have loved to have some other worse, more adverse reaction to shut me up, to take me out of society and lock me up. Because if the stolen car caper was only used to dupe the Mexicans and use that as an excuse to start the surveillance, wow, they really must be desperate, huh? Because you think that after 10 years of this, and believe me, I would be like, man, there's not one Mexican in authority that's saying, hey, we gotta stop this. This is crazy, man. Let's send these Satanists packing, man. We got our new streets, we got our lights, we got our sewer, we got our water, we got our technology. We don't need them anymore. We're gonna like end up being cursed for one human. Don't even look at me like an American or a white person. I'm Jacob. I'm one of the 144,000. And because you don't believe that, it doesn't mean it's not true. So I end up right over here in this neighborhood, okay? And in earnest, in 2016, when they started the lies and slander campaign on me, trying to cobble together this community watch snitch network. The way it works is first they have to somehow dupe the authorities, meaning the authorities. Now, this will start in Mexico City too. And again, they don't know anything about me. What they're doing is creating the framework to get this put in place in this area. Now, had I went somewhere else in Mexico, they would have had to have done the same thing. So this is nothing. Look, to this very day, I still try to help these people. And they're working against the Holy Spirit. They don't realize they invited these Satanists into their town who throw around their money, lies, and slander. And yeah, they look like they're nice people. They'll smile, buy you a drink, and then go do their dirty deeds done dirt cheap with the devil, shower up and clean up, and then do it all again the next day. And not bat an eye. Because, see, they're just that way. But see, that's what the second death is about. So they have to find a way to keep an eye on me, because these little weasels in the CIA, these pedo creeps, these American Nazi Edomite Satanists won't come face me. So they got all the people in America bought off, all right, to abandon me, to keep their mouths shut, meaning my friends, my family. And so my son's mom, she don't get this. She don't understand it, and there's nothing I could do. I just have to accept it and try to help my son and her out the best I can, because I won't abandon them. And they have got it now where these people, they could just care less about me. It's all, they just need their money, and that's it. So that at the end of the day, this is what it's all about, on how these people were motivated to do this. Now remember, they had to create a community watch snitch network, which is unheard of down here, and based off of one person, me, Paul Wilson Lindner Jr. Now, mind you, while they're doing this, the normal stuff goes on. The cartel runs the roost. They do what they do. Okay, there's murder, kidnapping, running of hard drugs, the destruction of children on a daily basis, and this is not confined to one area. This is going on now in Europe, in South America, and Canada. So again, I have to repeat myself, because what these slanderers do, these operative agents of the Satanist that are profiled and chosen to do this, they use racism now. Depending on who they talk to, depends on what type of slander they use. So for me, I'm either a criminal, I'm either crazy, that's the main one they use now, right? Or I'm a foaming at the mouth racist, right? I hate minorities. Whatever they can say to these people to get them to peek out their window. Or, this year it took them almost a decade, but now they've drilled down into the main neighborhood, because, see, look, these perps come and go. They have a shelf life. And so the way it works is my outreach of witness was generally this area. And right down here is where I go up to where I take care of my plants into the canyon. There's two areas. And so what they've been using my videos for on YouTube, this is the reason why they leave me up, is to be able to see where I go to create snitches in my path of travel. Now, early on, I didn't make it easy on them. It got to the point where whatever, I know they're there. So I just, look, I don't try to hide from any of them, but they use my videos to formulate their plan on where they create these snitches, on where they literally put streetlights, where they literally have cameras through my pass-throughs. Because, see, one of the ways that they deal with Mexico City, since they look, They're all on board with the World Economic Forum and the WHO. We know all about how this works, and it's not just them. Let's keep reminding this. What's worse is billions, not billions, but millions of Benedict Arnolds in the United States is worse than these dupes in these countries where the WHO and the WEF come in with their satanic shenanigans and their money, and they tell these people, look, we'll bring you out of the Stone Age. Hey, look, you wanna live like these racist, arrogant, angry, white people? This is how you do it. And what's amazing is that the very people that they're taught to hate are the ones, all right, in the United States that America is about promoting racism. America is about promoting sodomy, about child abuse, about this perverseness that comes from Hollywood, the movies, television, right? And at the same time, they say, oh, okay, we got to do something about this. We got to stop this. And what this has done, this is contaminated this infestation, this mindset, this perverse mindset from the sewer pipe known as Hollywood has contaminated the whole world. It's bizarre. But yeah, come to our country, because see, the American dream, we'll give you money, don't worry. Don't even worry about these racist, foaming at the mouth white people. We're look, the ones that we cannot, all right, satanize, okay? We can't turn them into little devils. Don't worry, we're killing them off. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. Look, folks, come on, you gotta have some fun here, right? Or no, is this the truth, or am I just crazy? Okay, so look, they got to figure out what I do, because see, for one, they don't want these people being clued into the fact that yes, all right, the biblical narrative is now intersecting with the conspiratorial narrative, and this backwards ass Babylonian satanic usury system of servitude is going to be collapsing, being burnt to a crisp. There's no more money. Enjoy this while you can. And because the reason why we have to do this is because if we pull the plug now, then see, everybody will wake up and be like, oh no, we've been lied to. And the people that tried to help us, they're all gone. And look, like I said, once this all goes down, all right, I could pack up tomorrow and go somewhere else. They'll have to start this shit up all over again, but they'll pack up and leave here. And these snitches, they'll wonder what happened, because the phone's not ringing. They're not getting any more text messages to peek out their window. No more blood money, right? So what happens is here's my neighborhood. They had to find a way to drill down into this neighborhood, because this is where it starts. This is where I live. They only want to know now is when I leave and return to the neighborhood. So it's taken them over 10 years to do this. Now, let it be understood, when a snitch gets involved with these Satanists, they've been profiled beforehand. They won't even understand it, that people have been placed around them, or what they'll do is once they figure out that someone has a criminal bent, they'll profile the neighborhood. They want to know who they can find and who they can coerce, right? Coerce into doing their dirty work for them, folks, all right? So during the profiling process, they try to figure out who has a criminal bent, who is extortable, who is, all right, brainwashable. They're susceptible to lies. And so what happens is they bring in outside snitches to do this. And at this point, I've gone through, who knows, tens of thousands of perps. They have these perp academies in Tijuana and here in Rosarito, where these operative agents that are all set up down here, okay, they're making money hand over fist off of me, and their goal is that break down any potential support. And so when I was witnessing about town, they use my videos, they follow me, and if I spend too much time in one spot, they go in and slander me. And for the most part, it's worked. But here's the neighborhood, right? Here's the park right here. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at right here. This is the building that the syndicate took over with the cartel back in 2016. It was a dilapidated building. They come in with all their legitimate businesses and they set up cameras. And what they do is, in the beginning, they had a call center there. And so they were using those people as snitches on top of the other legitimate businesses that can be called upon to see if I'm walking down this street or figure out what I'm doing. That's all they want to know. And so I've literally been through thousands of people here. This place is still in operation, but they kind of like have taken a back seat because these Freemason creep Satanists that were in charge, they're gone now. They rotate the main people out. They don't stick around very long. And so there's always a new batch. And so what they do is they got this whole area right here bought off. All right. And in my exits where you see these bridges right here, this is how I exit the neighborhood. They create the snitches right here. So they create perp safe houses. And what you have is, it's amazing who gets involved. From the rat-faced granny to the teenager that gets knocked up by other snitches in the neighborhood, to corrupt investigators, to corrupt, whoever they can find, and they figure this out in the profiling process. Now, the thing of it is, you got to understand that every last one of these people have been hiding in their houses from the cartel. But now, see, they've been promised that what they're doing is the right thing, that it's okay to peek out their window and look for me. And what they've done is they've bought these people off. They give them cars. They help remodel the houses of the snitches that they know that they won't give up their contacts, because none of them will give up their contacts, meaning the people I want to get to, these operative creeps that have contact with these Freemason Satanists and these corrupt authorities, all right? They know who they are, and what's factored in too, it's levels. So the levels for me are, you have the low-level snitch, the community watch snitch, that I break them down into these groups. The main group are these ground creepers. You have powder puff girls, which are young women that they use to try to spot me and be able to position other snitches or these Camaro Clown Club stalkers, which are all compartmentalized from the lower level snitches. You have the backpack boys. And these two groups, the powder puff girls and backpack boys, are younger because they have to be able to keep up with me on the street. Now, what I'm explaining here within this neighborhood is all over Rosarito. I could do this a dozen more times, but see, I'm not here to mock these people. I'm not here to criticize them, that somehow they got roped into this and that they don't know what they're doing. So because I'm a follower of Christ, and the reason why I'm doing this, and this is the last time, is it's not my job to point the air out of these tares, of these, well, some of them are good people, but they don't know no better. So I have these snitches right next to me, all right? And it's amazing. It's taken them years that these people knew me before the slander campaign for 6 years. All right. And by 2016 is when they really started to drill down into the neighborhood. And right now, there's 6 locations that have been involved with the Camaro Clown Club stalkers. And then, like I said, in the exits and entrances to the neighborhood, you've got them all positioned, and then my neighbors. You've got, again, it's just amazing who gets involved. And to see them, it's so sad that they give these people these fake businesses that, their main function is to be a snitch. But some of them, they give these businesses that are placed in just the oddest spots only to keep an eye on me. And it's sad. I don't even know what to say anymore. But here's how it works, all right? Here I am right here, all right? You got all these people have all been bought off to be snitches. All the way around. Some of them were given cars and remodeled houses, and when they look at me, they laugh at me like I'm a joke. And I've been in their face. They know what the issues are. I've explained to them. And even as this morning, they send these people out to try to figure out what I'm doing, because these Satanists won't come face me. So my son's mom knows about who's involved, the neighbors, right? And now I'm going to keep repeating this ad nauseum. These people that are involved with me, they've been hiding in their houses, never lifted a finger to face the cartel down. In fact, they all now ostensibly work for the cartel, who works for these pedo, Freemason, Satanist creeps. I don't know if you get that. And see, look, I look for these cartel guys because a lot of them can be saved. They're human. But isn't it odd? What would be the motivation of a Mexican to be a snitch when they've been hiding in their houses their whole life? What, they're doing it because they're proud of their country? Do you know one of the Mexican snitches right here next to me? They just had a baby, right? But guess what? They needed the baby to be born in the United States because they don't want the kid to be born Mexican. This is the pride that they have. Now, what would be another reason why a Mexican would want to stalk and harass me? Well, maybe they are. Maybe they're filled with hate, right? They say I'm the racist, right? To get these people to peek out their windows when they don't do shit for their own country. If you asked them, hey, what'd you do for Mexico today? Did you help a poor person? Someone that's looking like they're on their last breath, starving, which there are walking around. And some of them do try to help out. Look, it's not all. I'm trying to give you a snapshot of the mindset of the condition of humanity. When you can get people that don't even want to be in their own country, when you look at all these people, they're taking money from the United States. Some of them went over legally, others illegally. And then now, on top of that, now they're a snitch. There's Kojak in the corner over here. This little bald